Hey guys, welcome back to the Couch Confessionals, where we go behind the blog to get to know the blogger. And we are boarded the couch once again, and we are in Grand Central Station with the neurotic urban millennial, Patrick Maroney. Thanks, dude, for coming all this way from Philly.
Thanks for having me. My first time in Grand Central.
Awesome. It's a historic building. Make sure you take it all in after we're done with this. Okay, so you're one of what, 3 millennials, I believe, on the fields. So many people, especially my generation and above, have such issues with millennials. So why do you think they get such a bad rap?
So I think what happened was, back in the 80s when your generation, Generation X, they were known as the latchkey kids, Home Alone. And then once you guys started having kids and some of the later baby boomers, they kind of took that pendulum and swung it back and, started coddling the kids that became the millennials, my generation. That's when participation trophies came in, helicopter parenting.
Yep.
So I think, it swung a little too far at first. And you had some that were like, this is amazing, and just leaned into being coddled. There's now snowplow parenting, which is they'll just plow through any obstacle.
For their kids?
For their kids, yeah, it's crazy. But
doomed.
Yeah, so some leaned in and were basically helpless, wounded birds that would die if their parents left them. And then there's others who they kind of were okay. Because we also grew up in the 90s, where, the economy was booming and, we were told that we could do whatever we wanted. So I think some of us saw it also as, okay, we have a safe space, so we use it as a launching pad to be ambitious and say, okay, we're going to try to do these things because we're told we can do it.
Right.
I mean, some of us, fell flat on our face like Wile E. Coyote, but, I think that's kind of, it's two things. So some people saw us as kind of stepping out of our lane and trying to be too ambitious. And then others saw the lazy ones. And it's kind of like the squeaky wheels, I mean, that's where stereotypes come from.
Yeah. So let's debunk some of the stereotypes.
Okay, let's do it.
Or agree with them.
Stereotypes come from somewhere,
yeah.
So.
Okay, so millennials are lazy, true or false?
I would say it's partly true, because I think some of it is that millennials, especially older millennials, we were the ones that, because I graduated in 2000, we were the ones that were okay, we're going to change things. So I think we were more the go-getters.
Right.
But then I think at the same time there's some burnout going on. So we're, I know me, if I don't have something going on, I'm vegging.
Right.
So I think there is a laziness factor, but I think overall, millennials are not any more lazy than, Generation X was known for being slackers.
Well, exactly.
Yes.
We had chips on our shoulders. Our parents were disappointed in us.
And now everyone's Generation X is amazing.
We're now your bosses.
Exactly. If Winona Ryder can come back from shoplifting,
anyone could be.
Exactly.
Okay, millennials are commitment phobic.
I don't think we're commitment phobic. I think we're more pan commitment.
Okay.
We are more willing to, in terms of relationships, I think they're more open relationships. I know more of my friends are doing that, or not getting married, because some are they don't see the point, especially because when we were growing up, half of everyone in the world was getting divorced.
Yes.
So a lot of them were jaded from that. And so I think there's some deep-rooted Dr. Ruth stuff going on there.
Right.
So I don't know that it's just commitment phobic. I think they're trying to find what works for them in relationships. Okay. So whether it's an open relationship, whether it's cohabitation, quad relationships with 17 people. Yes. I don't judge.
What about the entitlements? Because you guys get this a lot, and you kind of spoke to it a little bit in your intro, but...
Yeah, so I think some of it is misplaced because with the entitlement, it's we know what we want is some of it. The other thing is, like, from the time when the baby boomers who are still running things, when they were around, you know, there were pensions, you know, people stayed at jobs.
Social Security.
Yeah, all the stuff that we will never have. So I think with us, it's, you know, it's a work-life balance. So it's like, when you hear that they want, like, you know, emotional support puppies at work and, you know, stuff like that and flexibility, it's because we don't have those fringe benefits.
Right.
So part of it, I think, is, you know, a reaction from, you know, back in my day, we didn't have puppies in the office. So it's like, we're like, but you have a retirement plan that we don't have. So we need a puppy to comfort us. Like, is that too much to ask? I mean...
Well, thank you for schooling us on. Okay, so I ask every blogger this. Finish this sentence. If you knew me, you would know...
that I know nothing. Everything that I've just said, like, take it with a huge grain of salt. I found out in this trip I was telling you, I thought the Empire State Building was like 5 blocks south of where it was and looked different. I worked here for a year. Like, I used to come all the time and I can't. Yeah, so I talk a good game, but I know nothing.
Most people don't know half of what they're talking about, so you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so next month is Mental Health Awareness Month. You, Peter, myself, and a few other bloggers have been open and really passionate about abolishing the stigma of mental health. But what I notice is your generation is so much more transparent and not ashamed about speaking about it. I just had another guy your age come to me and speak to me about his anxiety, which, you know, back in the day, especially with men, even though they suffered internally, they didn't outwardly come out in terms of, you know, how they were feeling or if they were on medication or whatever it may be. Why do you think your generation is so open and
Well, I blame Holly Hunter and her movie Living Out Loud that I'm pretty sure no one in my generation saw, but it's got Queen Latifah. But I think a lot of it is actually social media too, because I think it's people feel that they don't need to suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Especially with social media, some people who share every time they take a poop, like, you know, so it gets balanced with that, and then, like, they see that there's other people who have what they are experiencing, and so they're like, oh, okay, let's talk about this.
Right.
And especially with, I think, you know, things are going on just societally.
Yes.
That, you know, it's like we need, especially I think with my generation, it's we need to figure out why this is happening, you know, like depression, postpartum,
right.
You know, all their public health issues, and if we don't talk about it, we can't do anything, you know. So if it's something where even if you just have like a panic attack like once a decade or something, you know, it's still, you have a community, you can find resources.
Yes.
And I think social media has helped it, and I think it's just trying to stop society from crashing and burning.
Right.
So.
I just thank you so much for kind of opening up that part of you, because I think so many people were like, yeah, me too. You know? And
I mean, it is, before I wrote about it, like, I really hadn't talked about it, because with a lot of it, there is still stigmas.
Yeah.
I mean, even like postpartum, which is something that so many women have. I mean, yeah. I haven't had it, but you know, it's something that's so common, but people don't talk about.
Yeah.
You know, or
same thing with infertility. It's like, you know, we need to start having these conversations. Yeah.
And I wrote about that because, you know, I mean, obviously it's much different for women that are having fertility issues, but it's like, it's just issues that people don't talk about that should be out there more.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it's kind of like you always heard, like, if I help one person,
yeah,
you know, and I think that's kind of what you're seeing more is people are like, I can help, you know, or I can let people know that they're not alone.
Yes.
You know, so
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of, it's, because I mean, we're all more connected with social media, whether we, I mean, it's the worst, but.
It's the worst and the best thing that ever
is.
happened.
It is. I mean, I'm on it, I work at social media, but it's also, sometimes it's just, it's exhausting.
Yeah, it is.